Welcome back to Open Line. We're going to continue off Tony's question. He also asked about the Fairgrounds Nashville, what's happening over there. Jesse Knutson for NewsChannel 5 reported just today that there has been a delay in the demolition of the old facilities. It was supposed to start October 1st. Still hasn't happened, and we went on the air at 4 o'clock and no one was answering our phone calls. By 5 o'clock, we got this from the mayor's office. It says Mayor Cooper has not signed the demolition contract. This delay in demolition is not about soccer, but rather the extremely complicated financing and site infrastructure concerns that make for a successful project. Before moving ahead with demolition, Mayor Cooper has requested a complete calculation of Metro's cost and how cost overruns related to infrastructure improvements will be funded. So on Inside Politics, the mayor has said he's behind this, that the deal has been signed, it's done. But this makes it sound like he's pulling back the reins saying, hang on, I want to look at this contract again, but a contract's a contract, right?
Well, yeah, a contract is a contract. In a conversation with the mayor, he's told me the same thing that statement says, which is he wants to understand the full all-in Metro cost on the project and exactly how overruns work. And you'd think that there'd be a spreadsheet somewhere that would be easy to produce saying this is what Metro is going to spend from parks, water, all the different departments that might ever spend money, and as I understand it, there isn't such a thing that exists. And so I've heard him say he's supportive. You know, we should live up to our deals. We should live up to legislation. But he's also been clear that he wants to understand the deal fully before more stuff happens.
I guess my question would be then, how do these things get passed without something like a spreadsheet saying this is how much we are going to spend on the water improvements, this is what we will spend and not a penny more on this kind of improvement to deal with this project?
Well, you know, I was on the audit committee for the last 4 years, and the baseball stadium was originally supposed to cost under $50 million, and it cost $85 million all in. And the audit on that is pretty scathing. And that audit came just because it was an honors course in how to spend money on projects in the executive branch without having to go back to the council to get approval. And that audit came out before the soccer stadium. And so, you know, I added an amendment that the council passed that made it so stadium cost, anything above a certain amount, team pays it all. The legislation got initially presented to us not saying who would pay overruns for the stadium. And so I'm 100% clear, and I think the mayor is too, that any overruns for the physical building, team absolutely pays for all that because of the legislation we amended. What I've heard in the last couple of weeks is that there are overruns on related infrastructure not on the site of the actual building of the soccer stadium. And I mean, I'm going to be disappointed if the answer comes back that there's again another stadium where costs have been slid by the council without having come back to us.
How can the city afford to do it with the situation we're in with the budget?
Well, you know, it is most of the stadium construction costs and the infrastructure costs are bond debt, and so that's not money you pay for today. It's money you pay in pieces over 30 years. That doesn't make it any better. But as far as the current budget issues, you know, incurring water bond debt over 30 years doesn't impact today's budget very much.
Okay, let's go back to the phone lines. Lucy's been waiting ever so patiently. Hi, Lucy, go ahead.
Hey, y'all. Mr. Mendes, I have a couple of things to say here. First, I want to know, what was your water bill last month? You know what it was?
My wife takes care of the finances at our house, so I do not.
All right. Well, you know, when you say the average bill is going to go up $5 or $10, I'm assuming that that's water. And for every $1 of water, it goes up $1 for sewer. So that would probably be anywhere from $10 to $20. That's just my guess.
Well, let's find out. When you said 5 to 10, is it combined?
I think that's right.
Okay.
That was water.
Okay. You're right, Lucy.
You're right, Lucy. You're right, Lucy.
Uh-oh. Lucy, did we lose you?
Lucy, did we lose you?
I think we might have. Okay, Lucy, give us a call back. I just wanted to clarify that before. So, Lucy, if you give us a call back, we'll get to the rest of your question. Because I think we have not done a tremendous amount of reporting on this water rate hike or proposal that's going to happen, because the state says it has to happen. And people immediately are going to kind of put their hunches up and say, what? A rate hike? This is more money out of my pocket that I can't afford.
They absolutely are. And I think it's, the fact that it's been let go this long is really not appropriate. And I think the water department management is going to probably be good government citizens, and so they're not going to be the first to say, but I'll say it. They asked for this from the very beginning of the Berry administration and got told no. They got asked. They asked the Briley administration to do it over a year ago, and they got told no. They got told to wait till after the election, and so now we're up on an order from the state, and it stands to reason that people would be able to accommodate periodic small increases rather than waiting 8 years, build it into their budget, get used to spending money on other things, especially people on fixed incomes, and then it's going to be a shock to get it fixed. So I mean, we have to do it because of the state is going to order us to do it. What's not really forgivable is the making it be a big spike rather than doing it in increments. Okay,
I'm told Lucy is back. Lucy, I'm sorry we got disconnected.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
Well, I didn't, it was just a question, and I know about the water company. Here's the thing about the water, just the water alone. If residential rates are going to go up on an average, this is what my question with all these big buildings and all these tax incentives for these corporations that have come in, anchored in some corporate offices and built luxury condos above that. They've done this in New York City. The corporation gets a tax break. They get a discount on their electric because the more they use, the lower their rate is. And I'm assuming that's the same way with water. And the people who have those luxury condos, they're in those corporation anchor facilities or complexes, whatever they're calling them. They get tax breaks too on their property taxes. So I wonder if we're still playing those deals because everybody says we're like New York City now, and I wonder if the sports entities, the sports people, all these other so-called non-profits like the convention center, are they chipping into all this like the airport authority? They want us to build a fancy flyover for a beeline downtown. Are they paying any types of taxes? But here's another thing I want to talk about, the water department. When Mayor Dean was in office, he went in there and he robbed Peter to pay Paul out of the water department. And if anybody would go back and look at that deal, what I want to know, he was using that water money to balance our budget. And as far as the state of Tennessee telling us what to do, that you just can't keep keeping things lower because it encourages gentrification, well, Nashville's always been that way. That's why it was a comfortable place to live. And gentrification is something that's relatively recent. So, Mr. Nicely, I think it was his name, one of our state representatives, last year I heard him in a committee meeting saying that we need to get rid of the state increase in property taxes and rely on sales taxes because it's just not fair, although we've done this for years. So the state's not going to go up on their portion of our property taxes, but Metro is. And then the state's going to cut and shrink government.
Lucy, we're running. Hey, Lucy.
But they expect us to do something that they're not going to do.
Lucy, we are running up against the clock here. Okay, Lucy, I'm sorry, I'm out of time. We're running up against the clock, and I'm not sure that you got exactly right to your point there. But I think Lucy brings up a great point in the fact that talking about property taxes, and you told me pretty bluntly, they're going to have to go up. How much are we talking about?
Oh, I don't think we can know right now. I'm fully committed to helping the mayor find money in pockets like the convention center property taxes. I think there will be other chunks of money like that, and the more successful we are in finding money like that, the less we have to rely on property taxes to do it. So I think it's premature to say. And then you mentioned earlier payroll for police officers and teachers and other Metro employees. It's a matter of what we want to do on that. If we want Metro employees to make 25% more, then that has an impact.
And I think another question that Lucy was getting to, when we talk about the convention center or the airport authority, are they paying their fair share when it comes to things like water?
Well, I think on water, I think is the easiest one. I don't know of anybody who any of those things she mentioned that doesn't pay their water bill. I think everybody pays their water bill in full without a break. There's a lot of questions around tax increment financing and other corporate incentives. When I've done the math, if you cancel every last one of those things, like every economic incentive from the beginning of the budget to the end of the budget, you could save $40 million a year, $45 million a year, and that's not nothing. But before we would cancel it all, we would have to ask, what is the cost benefit? And that's a thing that there's no report, there's no study, there's no spreadsheet on that either that shows we pay $45 million for all our incentives. What do we get in exchange for that?
Exactly. Okay, we're taking a quick break. We'll be right back.